The 7 terrifying fire tests of the heaven were to be passed by every human being to be reborn. But it was not possible for every soul to pass all these tests, and if a sinner tried to escape, there were such messengers to catch him, who could not escape. But when a holy soul knocked on the door of heaven after hundreds of years, the messengers left to help the soul to pass the journey of rebirth. But when the secrets of the past began to reveal, they gave birth to such demons, who put the existence of those guardians in danger. The story began with that terrifying scene. When a firefighter named Hong tried to save a girl's life, he jumped from the building. The rope he was hanging on was also burnt by the fire, and Hong fell down quickly. And while falling, he even missed the safety cushion. As soon as he fell, his whole life began to revolve in front of his eyes. But the surprising thing was that even after falling from such a height, he stood up. That girl also went to her family. Hong also followed her to see if she was hurt somewhere. But when everyone was ignoring him even after asking him again and again, he felt strange. Suddenly he heard someone calling his name. He turned around and saw 2 people standing wearing suits. And even in the midst of this chaos, they were smiling at him. Hong asked them to move away from the falling building. But then he saw his fellow firefighters. They were trying to save a man who looked exactly like him. He didn't understand anything. But then that girl named Chun told him that Hong was a paragon. A man who had never committed a sin in his life. And even at the time of his death, he tried to save the lives of others. That's why he will help him pass the 7 tests of the heaven, so that he can be reborn. The other person, Mac, told him that he was the guardian of the heaven, and that Hong had to go with him immediately. Hong was still unable to understand anything, celebrating their own death. He said that he could not die now, because he had to meet his mother once. But then his body started floating in the air and was pulling towards a portal. Hong kept shouting to meet his mother even in his last moments. Even after his death, he was worried about his mother, and the guardians became emotional. From here, Hong went straight to heaven, where thousands of souls were heading towards the gate of judgment. From where they had to pay for every sin they had committed in their lives. Mac introduced Hong to Gang Rim, who was the 3rd guardian and their leader. When Gang Rim tried to congratulate Hong on becoming a paragon, Hong said that he was not a good person. These 3 guardians together brought back 47 souls in the last 100 years. Hong was the 48th person. As soon as he left the gate of judgment, he immediately reached a terrifying place, the Murder Mountain, where lava was flowing everywhere. Mac was surprised to reach there, because the souls of those criminals who had killed someone, but Hong did not kill humans or insects in his life. Gang Rim said that it was not necessary, that the murder was done on purpose. If someone had killed an innocent person unknowingly, he would also be considered a murderer and punished. Chun began scanning Hong's entire life with his power, and he found out that a few years ago, while controlling a fire, a companion of Hong was trapped in the pit. Hong was able to save him, but before he could, a blast occurred and his companion was killed. Now he was standing in the hell of murderers, when suddenly a big door opened, under which there was a deep pit filled with lava. People who were punished for the crime of murder were burning continuously, trying to get out of the fire. But it was impossible for them to get out. The lawyers of the underworld accused Hong of not saving his companion, and for the next 5 years, he should be burned in lava for his sin. But Gang Rim said that this was only half of the story of that night, and before the judge could decide, he should see the whole truth of the incident. Actually, Hong had tried his best to save his friend, but when he could not remove the heavy stone with all his strength, then seeing the situation out of control, his companion himself told Hong to leave him and help the rest of the people. Because of that decision, 8 people were saved that night, but he could not save his companion. Gang Rim said that how could the price of the lives of those 8 people be less than that of his one companion? Gang Rim's argument forced everyone to think. Seeing his bravery to help others, the judge released him from the charge of murder and allowed him to go to the next test. Although Hong had crossed the first stage of his rebirth journey, but the memory of his companion's death shook him to the core. Hong asked the guardians why they were helping him, because he was sure that he was not a paragon. He revealed that he was actually selfish in his help. The guardians had made a compromise with the king of hell, Yamra, that if within 100 years, they could bring those 40 souls back to life, then they would also be able to bring them back to life and become human. After leaving here, they finally reached the indolence hell for their next test, where the sinners who were lazy in a huge machine were constantly chased. Those who could not run, the machine crushed their bones. And then the fish in the water ate them. The judge here was the goddess of indolence. Chun told the judge that Hong had never been lazy in his life. He worked hard all his life without rest. He not only saved the lives of humans, but also tried his best to save the lives of the speechless creatures. He even risked his life to save the life of a cat once and saved it. Hearing Hong's story, the judge became so emotional that he ordered a huge statue to be erected in Hong's honor. But when the goddess asked why Hong had worked so hard in his life, Hong replied that he had done all this for money. Hearing this, the guardians realized that Hong had made a huge mistake. Because, upon hearing this, the judge got angry and changed his decision immediately and ordered that Hong be thrown into that huge machine immediately for punishment. The guardians stopped him from falling down and asked the goddess to look at Hong's life more carefully. Hong worked so hard to earn money because he wanted to support his sick mother and brother. Hong worked from morning to night without rest for his mother's medicine and his brother's education. He did not even care about his health. The man who did not even rest until his death, did not want money for him because of selfishness. When the goddess found out Hong's true intention, she decided that Hong was not guilty. Because the reason for his desire for money was not to have fun, but to help his family. Continuing his journey, these people boarded a ship that was going to take them to the next place. But as they moved further, they saw demons following them from all sides. The guardians immediately took out their weapons and began to fight those demons with all their might. They chopped many demons into pieces and killed them. But while saving Hong's life, Gangrim fell off the ship. Mac faced those demons alone so that Gangrim could come back safely. Seeing the situation out of control, Gangrim made a new plan. And Mac attacked a huge stone on the road with all his might. Now those rocks started falling on those demons, and because the road was closed, those demons finally stopped following. Mac said that this was happening because a family member of Hong had died and turned into a demon. Gangrim explained that if he did not find the demon and free him, then the demons in the other world would continue to follow him. He decided to meet Hong's family and find out the truth. When Gangrim reached Hong's house, he saw that his mother was still alive. This meant that Hong's brother had died and had now become a demon. But as soon as he came out, he started trying to escape. Gangrim also followed him with the help of his powers and tried to catch him with his weapon. But every time the demon escaped his attacks. Meanwhile, the two of them had a fight and the demon pushed Gangrim away. By the time he managed to escape, the demon had disappeared. On the other side, Hong, Chun and Mac were in a blade forest where a tree had taken Hong in its clutches. And the sharp blades of that tree started cutting Hong. As soon as Mac saved Hong from the clutches of that tree, the demons came again and surrounded him from all sides. Then a mysterious man came there with his two terrifying-looking soldiers. The demons also ran away when they saw him because that man was the King of Kings, Yamraj. Yamraj told the guardians that if Gangrim did not quickly control the situation, he would go and kill Hong's brother. Hearing this, Hong got angry and he strangled Yamraj. But Yamraj left him thinking he was naive and warned Mac to control this madman. Chun apologized to Yamraj and assured him that Gangrim would soon be able to control the situation. Because Gangrim had reached a military camp following Hong's brother Kim's traces. There he heard the soldiers talking about Kim. The soldiers were calling Kim a coward. What was even more strange was that the camp captain was trying to hide something from a frightened soldier. To reveal the truth, Gangrim took the form of a colonel and started interrogating the captain about Kim. He accused the captain of murder and asked him about Kim's body location. The captain said he did not know anything. But it was clear from the fear on his face that he was responsible for Kim's death. On the other hand, Hong was now standing in front of the Devil's Temple for his next test. This was the place where souls were punished for deceit. Hong was accused of having written many fake letters to his partner's daughter after failing to save his partner, in which he kept lying to himself that he was his father. For this deceit, the Devi ordered him to be tied up and cut off his tongue. As the situation worsened, Gangrim made a link with the devil through telepathy and began to reveal the truth behind Hong's deceit. He revealed that he also wrote fake letters to his sick mother and told her that his life was going very well and he had become very rich. Gangrim argued that this lie was not for deceit, but to calm down those people whom he cared for. Hong's lie gave him hope that could not give him the truth, which gave him the strength to live. His mother, who could not even get out of bed due to her illness, got this hope, recovered from her strength and began to live her life. When the Devi realized that Hong had done all this to give others a reason to live, she forgave Hong's crimes. Because behind lying, her intention was not to harm anyone. After passing this test, when he was moving forward, Gangrim made contact with his team through a portal. He lied to Hong that his entire family was fine. But later, he told his team the truth about Hong's brother and said that he would need some more time. Gangrim went back in time and saw the truth of the night. The night Kim died, he found out that Kim's companion Dong was very nervous because the weather was bad. And by mistake, after removing the safety lock, he shot Kim. Dong immediately called his captain, but the captain thought that Kim was dead. And if it was reported that a soldier was murdered in his camp, his promotion would be suspended a few days and started to break. They ran away from the storm and took a cable car and left the snowy mountain. Finally, they reached the hell of injustice, where sinners who did not help others were frozen in the snow for hundreds of years for their crimes. But Hong was a firefighter who had helped others all his life, so he was not judged here and he could move on to the next test. When he moved on, Chun told him that he and Mac did not remember anything about their human life. Only Gangrim had memories of the past. Mac told Chun to tell the Guardians about the kingdom, but he accidentally told Hong that his brother had died and had become a devil. Realizing the truth, Hong's unsteady mind shook the whole world and the cable car started to break, causing both the Guardians to fall. But in the last moments, Hong managed to get himself up and down with a rope and saved them. Gangrim had now found the place where Kim was buried. It was then that Mac reached there and said that the rule was to burn the ashes of the devil immediately and free the soul. But now Gangrim was emotional and was wasting their time. Hearing this, Gangrim got angry and a fight broke out between the two. Gangrim warned Mac that he would have to obey his leader's orders. But now Gangrim could not realize that the person was not really Mac. Because the real Mac had now reached the heavenly passage with Hong and Chun. And the next step of their journey was to Betrayal Hill, where a beautiful goddess judged those who betrayed their loved ones. Such sinners were imprisoned in the mirror and crushed. But Hong was a paragon and he never betrayed anyone, so he was safe from this test. On the other hand, following Gangrim Kim's soul, he reached a nightclub, where the devil was trying to kill the soldier who had buried him alive. Gangrim started following him. The devil also ran very fast, but this time Gangrim made a portal and came straight ahead of him. He teleported up, then he pulled out a magical rope from his sword and finally caught Kim in his clutches. He told Kim that if he forgave his weapons, he would help him be reborn. But Kim remembered the moment when he was buried alive. He screamed in anger, which created a shockwave and he was freed from the shackles. On the other hand, Dong, after drinking a lot, finally gathered his courage and decided to tell Kim's mother where his body was. Because now he could not bear the kneel of regret. When his mother opened the map, there was a location mark on it. Kim was also standing behind his mother, watching all this. Dong could not live with this grief anymore, but then the devil reached there and told Gangrim to save Dong. Because he had forgiven him for his old friend's regret. He promised that he would face the trials himself. Gangrim immediately cut the rope of Dong and saved him. Then Kim talked to him through Gangrim and said that he had forgiven Dong. And now there was no need to shed tears over the past. Meanwhile, hung-up violence had reached the brink of hell. Now to reach the next test, he had to jump into a huge pit. When he jumped into that deep dark pit, he fell on a huge rock. But Mac grabbed the stick while falling and safely landed on the other side of the rock. But then Hong slipped and started coming towards him. And by colliding with each other, they all started falling down. Hong grabbed the stick and tried to save him just like he had saved that girl before. The surprising thing was that in the last moments, his fall stopped and he started floating in the air. They now reached the violence hell where Hong was accused of beating his younger brother badly during school days. This crime was even more serious because after the fight, Hong never apologized to his brother. Because the very next day, he left home and never returned. The judge immediately ruled that Hong was guilty of violence against his own family. And he was sent to a pit where people who were violent were constantly punished by colliding with rocks. The situation worsened and Chun called Gang Rim for help. Gang Rim again made a link with Chun and requested the judge to stop the trial. Chun argued that the trial and the last trial were connected. So the punishment should be stopped. This was a very risky move because if Hong was found guilty in the next test, the Guardians would never be able to bring him back. But when they moved forward, the truth was revealed. When Kim woke up that night, he saw Hong sitting on his mother's lap. He soon realized that his brother was trying to kill his own mother with a pillow. Kim tried to stop him, but Hong left the pillow and started beating his younger brother in anger. Hong was actually completely broken from his life. His family was very poor and his mother was seriously ill. He felt that only death could free him from this pain. That night, he wanted to kill himself after his mother and brother. After his crime, he was so sad that he left home and never returned to his family. Hearing this, the Guardians realized that there was no hope of winning the trial. Especially when the wrong behavior of parents and elders was judged in the last test. Gang Rim was now trying to take Kim to his body so that his soul could also begin the journey of rebirth. But when he reached the military camp, Kim was shocked to see that his mother was also looking for him. She was coming there and requesting the soldiers to take him to. The captain ran towards him in fear of being exposed. He tore his posters, pushed him and dropped him on the ground. Kim's mother fainted there due to shock. Seeing his mother in this condition, Kim got up in anger and turned into that devil again. He broke his imprisonment and became free. He grabbed Gang Rim and threw him away with great force. This is why demons started to emerge in the heavens again and Mac started facing them alone. Kim's anger had increased so much that he turned into a huge storm. All the soldiers started pulling him into the storm and a portal opened straight to the heavens. Gang Rim pulled the soldiers out of the storm and tried to save them. But Kim pulled him into the storm to kill the captain. Seeing the situation out of control, Gang Rim called Mac for help. Mac jumped into the portal and pulled the human-like monster out of the storm. Taking advantage of the situation, Gang Rim also trapped Kim in his magical chain and finally ended the destructive war. On the other side, the final hearing of Hong had started. Yamraj Yamra was the judge of this case. He accused Hong of trying to kill his own mother and beating his brother in such difficult circumstances. When Chun gave evidence that this was not the truth, Yamraj got angry and said that when Hong tried to kill his mother, she was not sleeping but she was silent and kept this pain in her heart. Hong had to suffer this punishment forever for his sin because he tried to kill the person who gave birth to him. Hong was also shaken by the truth. He began to beg for forgiveness from his mother. But Yamraj said he had 15 years to do this. Suddenly, the whole universe started shaking and a voice started talking to Hong's mother. Actually, Gang Rim was letting Kim talk to his mother with his powers. Kim apologized to his brother for that night. He told that Hong regretted so much that he worked hard to his death that day because he wanted to be a support to his family. But then his mother told that he had forgiven his son long ago. And when his mother apologized for her mistake to not give his children a better life, Hong embraced his mother's form with grief and regret. Yamraj was also moved by this and he cried in front of everyone. Yamraj said that the person who was wronged had forgiven Hong long ago. So, he cannot be punished for his sins. Yamraj allowed Hong to be reborn. Hearing this, Hong bowed down in front of the bell and thanked the Guardians for helping him in this journey. Then he disappeared in the bright light. On the other hand, Gang Rim decided to make Kim his 49th rebirth so that he could fulfill his agreement with Yamraj and be reborn again. When Gang Rim scolded Mac for leaving Chun alone, Mac said that he had left Chun for the first time after hearing his call. Hearing this, Gang Rim realized that the Mac he had lost in the jungle was actually Yamraj, who had come to stop him from wasting time. But why did Yamraj help him? His secret was connected to his past, which Gang Rim had no idea about. After this, the Guardians took Kim to hell, where thousands of demons were blocking his way. The guardians attacked the demons to reach Yamraj and started making their way while fighting them. This is the end of the first part of the story. If you liked this video, then like it and comment for the next part. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.